So as we think about sort of, again, movement, as the leg likes to come forward, our pelvis has to drop into our femur is going to rotate into our pelvis. So we go through our gait cycle. This is sort of our motion that we're starting to try to accomplish. But remember, when that hip can't rotate, that pelvis is going to become blocked. Then we will start to rotate a little bit more upstream, or it could even happen downstream as well. This is when you start seeing a lot of people that have low back pain, but it actually can become a hip problem because of that. So again, a simple little movement that you can try and work on is a little kickstand RDL. Create this little hip hinge motion here. And then can I pull like my opposite pelvis towards my knee here without me trying to rotate through, my spine? My goal is how much movement can I start to create into that pocket? So if I can pull into this pocket here, and what I'm actually trying to do is squeeze all this anterior hip stuff here as I'm pulling this side deeper. As I try and pull deeper, I'm going to get a big stretch into my right posterior side, but I'm also trying to open up into this internal rotation down into that hip joint. And I can go for some little repetitions of that little motion. Or I can hold for time. Hold for time. Each time I can progressively try and increase that pulling sensation into that hip a little bit more.
Here, we're holding a kettlebell in one hand while pulsing up and down in the inline lunge. The side with the kettlebell has to resist tipping, driving the hip into more active internal rotation. Switch the kettlebell to the other side, and now the opposite hip is working in a different IR demand. Slow, controlled pulses increase time under tension, building strength, stability, and endurance in the hip. In an inline lunge, the narrow stance challenges your balance and forces the back hip into internal rotation. As you press the medicine ball overhead, your core and pelvis stabilize together, keeping the hip joint engaged through that internal rotation. Control the press, keep the ribs stacked, and own the position. The staggered stance creates a split pattern. The front hip is biased toward internal rotation, the back hip toward external rotation. As you press the landmine overhead, your torso and pelvis have to resist twisting, which locks in rotational control through the hips. Keep your feet grounded, ribs down, and press in a straight line. This move not only builds shoulder strength, but also integrates hip stability, core control, and rotational power.